So welcome to Class 8, and tonight we're going to focus on Rumi, and in particular we're going to be watching a video in the next room, so we won't keep that videotaping, but it's called Rumi, Poet of the Heart. It's a video that's about 36 minutes long, and then we're going to be having a discussion in the sanctuary, so we won't be in this room until later this evening. But in the meantime, look up Rumi online and read about him, and come back and join our discussion in a little bit. For you, it'll just be a second.
And on.
All right. So we were thinking that for the people on the video, before we get started, I was going to read a brief thing about Rumi, because I told them about Rumi, Poet of the Heart, and that Rumi is a 13th century mystic poet who was one of the most passionate and profound poets in our history. And today his presence is still strong, due in part about how the words seem to drip of the divine and startle a profound remembrance that links all the way back to the soul essence. And I think that's what we were all talking about in the other room after watching this video. And if anyone would like to borrow it, you can. Bring it back next week. This is the video. And so, anyway, so how are you all? How was last week? And anyone want to share? Bring me up to date. Did you participate? Lissa facilitated some exercises.
It was very similar to our visualization for visionaries.
Okay. Okay, so anyone else want to share? It was good? You had mentioned that it was very powerful. Did anyone else have an experience like that? No? Yes?
Well, yes. I think, as I said after the exercise, for me it was a recognition of how I've changed, in that when it came to the turn of receiving, I was able to receive in grace. And it was just a very comforting feeling, which I'd never had before, when being in the receiving end of doing something. So it was wonderful.
Great. So the week before, I had talked about that class being a threshold, and that we've come to a point when we're going to walk through the door and start experiencing what we've been talking about. Do you feel like that was true?
That was the beginning of a practice.
Yes.
Of energy exchange and stuff. So.
Right.
But when you asked, I was confused because I take way too many classes here. So.
Yes. Yes. Well, let's just bring you up to date real quick.
Differentiate between the classes.
Please read for week 7. Oh, come on, they just put so much Rumi in there, which I'm actually going to read again. So, but from the Foundations of Mysticism, chapter 20. I'll just say chapter 20 without saying the page numbers. It's in here. Okay. And if you're still reading this, then it's pages 155 through 178. It's a good section. I just want to say that. It's a good section. And it's all about practice. So as we're going forward, that we were also going to start signing up, and you were going to let me know who you were taking.
That's what I had a question about. When are we doing that part?
The last 3 classes. Okay. So not next week, but the next 3. Right? It's a 10-week class. And you know what else I found out when I was at the conference?
What?
A lot of people are teaching this class, and actually got approval from the deans that 7,000 Ways to Listen was an acceptable transition from entering the castle. So I don't feel so rogue anymore, which is good.
You're all mainstream.
I was concerned about the people who wanted to go on and get the certificate and if there was going to be an issue. And their concern is more, do you know the principles? Are you able to discuss with competence and authority what you've learned here? That's the key as you go on for practitioner training, right? So cool. There we have it. So I felt better. And they were like, yeah, you're coming from Barbara and John's church. You're going to ask for forgiveness. Pretty much. So it was good.
That's fun.
So any other questions about that? But we were going to, do you want to draw straws and to see who is everyone doing a project?
This is my first time in here,
Right.
so I'm hearing.
You're hearing the second half of our class at this point. So what they've done is people are picking a recognized mystic from our history or our current, present, and they're going to tell us about them and why that person, why they chose that person, what they can give for each of us. And there's, in the workbook, there's some questions, I think, about to answer, and there wasn't there? About,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think there is,
Yeah.
that
So
you
how
want
many pages
to,
she handed out, the second half?
yeah. And if you guys are gonna come back for the rest of the time, I'll make sure that you get the
She
student
gave us these
workbook
to add
next
to
week.
this.
Right.
And, we
Oh,
have
no,
a
not
couple
this
of
chapter,
extras.
but later.
Okay.
Actually, this one might be an extra. And this one is my old copy.
Is it okay that perhaps I can receive that copy from you on Sunday? Because I don't want you to give that to me and end up being your last hard copy.
I have it on
Computer, where she puts it.
computer and
Okay.
Nancy, we've got other copies upstairs too.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
will you be coming back as well?
I probably will, yes.
Yeah.
So I am okay with, Valerie taking it, because I know how to get to it.
Okay, you want the last 6 from class 6 on. If you want the whole workbook, you get that from Nancy too. There we go. So there might be some writing on some pages in there. How are people feeling right now? I know it's a little cold and tired, but good.
Ms. Hay, you were talking about chapter 20 of which book?
This one, Foundations of Mysticism.
But if you look at the beginning of week 7 in the workbook, it'll tell you what the homework is for the week.
Right.
Yeah.
The next page. Well, that's where we, never mind.
Well, that's for week 6. The top one is.
About the class. up
And we're in
there.
7 right now.
Yeah.
I like the class.
This is class 6 and,
No, this is class
oh
7.
no, this is 7, that's
Yeah.
right, that's right. Right. In here it says it's 6,
Oh,
the mystical
gotcha.
heart.
Okay.
But that I took off and we pushed 6 back into 7 and Lissa did something.
So
So
we're-
we're kind of combining
So
our
we're
2
reading
classes.
week 7 for week 8.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Stay flexible. Okay.
Well, no, I just want to make sure I know.
Well, if
understand.
you remember at the beginning, I asked you, and then I brought in someone anyway, because Lissa had some really good ideas. And so we had just extended the class because I was going to be gone and you weren't going to do anything.
Yeah.
But then we did do something. So we can combine presentations and do a lot in one evening if you want to do that.
Mine won't take long.
Should we just see how they go over the next 3 or 4 weeks and then
Yeah, well,
we have the last class as a celebration.
and we don't have a huge amount of people in the class, so it should go, 2 weeks. should
Okay,
be
so we
ready.
should be able to finish around the 22nd then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, sounds good to me. Anyone, B, are you all right? Beck? Okay. So anyone else have any questions or anything?
Just, I have a question about, like, when you're choosing your person to do your project on, are we letting you know, or does it, we all?
Yeah, because that was what you were going to tell me tonight, so that we can make sure that we're not really duplicating folks.
I told you mine
You,
last
you,
year.
yeah, you wrote it down.
Did you write it down?
Did I write them all down?
Yeah.
Well, we told you.
Oh,
I saw your
Okay, I
I
have
was like, I
that
told you
date.
mine.
So we have, I
It's in your
have
notes.
Breezy and Michael and Amanda and Brenda and Dee and Drew and Fran, David and Cheryl. And David, I didn't get one from.
He's not
David
in here.
left, he's not here. Okay. So I've got one from everyone,
Except Valerie and Nancy.
except Valerie and Nancy.
You might want to say what they are so they don't duplicate, so they know.
Let's do it that way, and then you guys next week can tell me who you would like to do. Einstein, John O'Donohue, Mary Oliver, Swedenborg, Borg, Swedenborg. So I know that. And Shankara, Kara or Kara? Sankara. Laozi, Latsu,
Like loud.
and St. Francis and Emma Curtis Hopkins, who I'm actually teaching in the fall. Just
Like General
premier
Tso's.
blurb for ECH.
Yeah.
What's the name of the video?
Rumi, Poet of the Heart.
Yeah.
Ah.
Would you like to borrow it, or?
Well,
I have nothing to play it.
Okay, any other questions?
I'm good.
we have another person.
All right. Then, just to close, because I feel like it's a little rushed and a little just businessy, let's just hold the presence. Let's just breathe a couple of times, set our intentions for the class again, and for your evening, for the rest of the evening. But let's just take a second and breathe. And be present here. And set your intentions for the class as we finish up these last few weeks. What would you like to happen? How do you envision the class coming to a close? And then recognize the divine in you and know that you are God. And breathe. And release. Thank you for sharing your class with the group tonight. I so appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. We'll see you all Wednesday, tomorrow. Some of you